Wes du har min Freyon and welcome to yet another video. This video is for those of you who like and enjoy adaptations, my friend, and even though your dear old European law is always and will always be against adaptations, I do realize that they have been done and will be done in the future, and there are some that are worth checking out, unlike some things that call themselves adaptations, but are not really, and are going to be released in September of this year. Now, I thank Bleeding Fool for, pointing my attention to this particular thing, and I thought that I would add some of mine to this and make up the best 3 Lord of the Rings or Tolkien adaptations for you to check out. Of course, many of you, the vast majority of you, will have already checked these out, but it is always nice to remind ourselves how you make a proper adaptation, and that there are some that are really worth watching, listening to, or reading. Now, bleedingfool.com, they have released an article about the BBC's 1981 Lord of the Rings radio drama that is now, for everybody, available to read for free. So let us dive in. Listen to the BBC's 1981 Lord of the Rings radio drama. J.R.R. Tolkien's classic tale, The Lord of the Rings, was dramatized by BBC Radio 4 in a series of 26 half-hour stereo episodes for broadcast back in 1981. The novel had previously been adapted as a 12-part BBC radio production in 1955 and 1956, of which it is still unknown whether any tapes have survived, as well as a 1979 production by the Mind's Eye for National Public Radio in the United States. The Lord of the Rings radio serial was initially broadcast on BBC Radio 4 on Sundays from noon to 12:30 p.m. from March the 8th through August the 30th, 1981. Due to a transmitter issue, the first transmission of episode 4 was blacked out throughout much of southeast England, a very rare occurrence even then. And in the summer of 1982, the series was aired on CBC AM in Canada. In the US, it was broadcast on NPR, with a fresh episode synopsis introduced by Tammy Grimes. Additionally, Australia broadcast it later. The 26-part series was trimmed into 13-hour-long episodes that were aired from the 17th of July to the 9th of October 1982, reintroducing some of the language that had been previously deleted for scheduling. Now you can listen to the entire series for free in the longer 1-hour episode versions through the magic of the internet at the Internet Archive. So, I will post a link in the description down below to Bleeding Fool's article, and through this you can get to the Internet Archive and listen to the dramatization of The Lord of the Rings by BBC from 1981. Now, I'm sure most of you have already heard it. My own recommendation concerns a graphic novel, a comic book. The Hobbit graphic novel, of course, adapting J.R.R. Tolkien's The Novel, as adapted by Charles Dickson and illustrated by David Wenzel. Now, I shall provide some links in the description down below as well. First, to my own review of The Hobbit graphic novel, a more detailed and elaborate review than this one, and also to an interview I had a couple of months ago with the man who adapted this graphic novel, who wrote it, Charles Dickson, or Chuck Dixon, as he calls himself. Not only is he a fantastic novelist and a comic book writer, but he is also the man, and I'm sure most of you will know, who really came up with the character of Bane, the villain from the Batman comic books in the 1990s. a prolific, fantastic, and fan-favorite writer who wrote the best Batman comics in the 1990s, and along with the illustrator Graham Nolan, they introduced the character of Bane into the Batman mythos. He's also a very nice guy, an extremely nice guy to talk to and to chat with. And not only did he write Batman comics, but he also wrote characters like Conan the Barbarian and comic books like G.I. Joe, and even SpongeBob and Simpsons. He is very prolific, and he wrote almost every single comic book character you can come up with. He wrote Punisher, and so on and so forth. I absolutely adore each and every single comic book I've read by Chuck Dixon, and I also recommend you check out some of his own sites, like his YouTube channel, to which I will also provide a link. He's got a weekly or monthly, now I think they are longer ones, videos which are called Ask Chuck Dixon or something like that, where he answers questions that are, asked to him by his viewers, readers, and fans. Now, this graphic novel, just very briefly, because I say much more in my detailed review, is really a proper adaptation, because of course he had to omit something, he had to leave things out, but that which he decided to use in the script of this graphic novel are the precise and exact lines and sentences that you can find in the original The Hobbit novel written by Professor Tolkien. He did not change a single word. So, for example, if you look at this very short dialogue from this 2-page spread, of course, from the beginning, where Bilbo Baggins is talking to Gandalf, they say, "Good morning," and Gandalf says, "What do you mean? Do you wish me a good morning, or mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not, or that you feel good this morning, or that it is a good morning to be good on?" Well, all of them at once. "And a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco out of the doors. Sit down and have a fill of mine." And Gandalf says, "Very pretty, but I have no time to blow smoke rings this morning. I am looking for someone to share in an adventure, and it's very difficult to find anyone." "I should think so in these parts. We are plain quiet folk, and have no use for adventures. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things make you late for dinner. Good morning. We don't want any adventures here, thank you," and so on and so forth. Is beautifully illustrated by David Wenzel. I'm going to tell you, I also share this little piece of trivia from Europeans Law, Life and History. The Hobbit graphic novel was actually my first encounter with Tolkien. This graphic novel was adapted in the early 1990s, and I read this graphic novel just over about a year before I read the actual Hobbit graphic novel. So I think I read this one when I was 7, and I read the Hobbit novel when I was 8. So I thank Master Chuck Dixon and David Wenzel for really being the two men who introduced me to the world of Professor Tolkien. It's absolutely worth it. You can find it on the internet. It's still available in a paperback for, quite cheap. But please do not order this via Amazon. Use other websites. I order my books via bookdepository.com. And the last one is, of course, I don't think anybody will be surprised. Do rewatch The Lord of the Rings by Peter Jackson, the extended versions. Yes, a lot of people will be saying, "But he had to change many things. He had to omit things, leave things out. He added many things that were not in the books." Of course, that's what it's called, an adaptation. But once again, for about a millionth time, there's a vast difference between adapting a book or books and changing things here and there and getting over 20 Oscars for all the 3 movies. Just 11 Oscars for one of them, The Return of the King, in one night. And making up your own bloody fantasy story and just putting the Lord of the Rings name on it. There is a vast difference, and don't tell me there isn't. It's time to stop lying to yourselves, my dear friends, and dear shields to Amazon. So once again, thank you, Bleeding Fool, for this article. We can listen to the audio drama or radio drama for free. And in addition to this, I recommend you buy the Hobbit graphic novel by Chuck Dixon and David Wenzel. And please do go and rewatch The Lord of the Rings by Peter Jackson. It is worth it. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about my recommendations. And that will be all. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. And Amarie.